It's the most wonderful time of the year. Of course, I'm referring to my birthday, which is today. And Helen and Dennis Ray's 51st anniversary as well today. Birthdays are a great opportunity to reflect on the past year and to look at how we want things to go in the coming year. A chance to make some changes, a chance to express gratitude for our life in the past year, and a chance to choose life. They say that every birth is a sign of hope in the future, so it is also a great chance to celebrate life. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Of course, I'm referring to the commercials for the back-to-school sales at Staples. Have they started already? Usually they start in June, so come a couple of weeks you'll hear them. The parents are happy that the kids are going back to school, and the teachers and students are secretly happy that they are going back to school. I love back-to-school time in September and after the Christmas break. And I also liked to get the new stationery. In those days, we called them school supplies. And they were a signal for me to change my ways, to make a fresh start, with promises to put an end to doodling, to cover all my textbooks, to put an end to chewing pencils and pens, kind of messy sometimes, to organize my notebooks, and to set aside time to do my work properly and to keep up. I swore that I would learn how to properly use a fountain pen or a cartridge pen. How many people remember cartridge pens? Yeah. Even though being left-handed put me at a disadvantage. I believe that we are offered these chances, though, every single day. A chance to make a choice, to live better, to change something, to improve something. The Israelites in today's reading were given a chance to choose life or to choose death, and they were advised to choose life. They had left the comfort of the known, even though enslaved, to head out into the unknown, to embrace a change that required them to make their own choices, to accept responsibility for their lives and their choices to move forward. How frightening is that? What if we make mistakes? What if life is too difficult? What if friends and family disagree with us? What if we have to start all over again? What if the challenges seem insurmountable? All that is going to happen. Making the choice for life does not give us a free pass. I am guessing everyone here knows that. Making a choice for life doesn't mean we will be perfect. And I'm guessing that everyone here knows that also. Here's what I think it means to choose life. It means we are moving ahead without fear driving us. Have you ever noticed that when someone from God encounters us, and when they're in a Bible story, that the first words are almost always, "Do not be afraid." The devil almost always plays up to those fears. In the desert, they built a false idol to appease those fears. You are hungry. God will abandon you. You will die, and you will get sick. Herod killed all the firstborn sons so he could hold on to a false power. He even killed his own son at one point. Now, I have learned to discern this trait in political leaders. Some politicians play to our basic instincts, to be afraid of people who are not like us, of poor people trying to rob us or to take our resources without working for them, of making us a laughing stock for being too generous. They will play up our religious sentiments at the expense of our faith, that other religions and denominations are out to get us. How many people remember that Norman Vincent Peale led a campaign against JFK just for being a Catholic? How many people remember Obama being accused of being a Muslim, as if that was such a terrible thing? Messengers from God seem to always bring a message of hope, an opportunity to choose life over fear and death, to ultimately defeat death as in the resurrection, to defeat sin in the temptation in the wilderness, to be forgiven and welcomed in the parable of the prodigal son. In politics, we seem to embrace a message of hope when we collectively choose life and usher in a generational change in our leaders. In our church here, we are embracing hope and choosing life as we go through the process of calling a new minister and of choosing a full-time family and youth minister. I am so hopeful for us. On an individual basis, there are many here who face depression and have to face fears every day, and every day must make the decision to choose life. It's not easy, and it's very courageous. Our scripture today is a help. A few years ago, I was asked by a lady at our church to visit the grandson of her neighbor in jail. I will change the name. Andrew was in jail at the NIagara Detention Center in Thorold and was already found guilty and was awaiting sentencing to a penitentiary. This meant he had done something really bad. If you were given a sentence of 2 years less a day, you went to jail. A sentence of more than 2 years got you time at a federal penitentiary. I hope that's correct. At any rate, I went in to visit Andrew and was led into a small interview room, and Andrew came in after. They closed and locked the door. Andrew seemed to be totally uninterested and was led into in me or what I had to say. His hair was very punky, spiked and colored. Sometimes you might even see that in here, I guess. I never asked him what he had done. I never did, because I didn't want my own prejudice and fears to come into play. I told him that God had sent me there to say that he loved him and had already forgiven him, and that God had told me I could find him there in the prison, not necessarily in the church. I held up a Bible, soft cover and no staples, that's all they allow at the jail, which I gave to him. And I told him there was nothing magic in the book, but there were things in there, I have to find them. There are things in there that would help him if he read them. I led him to the passage from today's service, and we read it. I told Andrew that he had a great opportunity while he was in jail to choose a different path. He could stay on the path of doing the things that got him in there, or he could change the behavior to allow him to stay out. In other words, to choose life over death. Then I went home, somewhat disturbed. It was a beautiful, sunny Sunday afternoon, and I thought that it was a colossal waste of time. I said to Barb it was a waste of my breath and a waste of that young man's time. Then the next Sunday, the lady from the church came to me and said, I don't know what you said to Andrew, but he changed his life around completely. He's cut his hair, and he was doing some Bible studies, and he was glad to be serving his time at the pen. I really can't take credit for this, except by being a vehicle for God to allow a young man to hear the two choices. Choose life or choose death. Andrew chose life. And that makes it the most wonderful time of the year.